So the devs screwed up again. They allowed the players to flood the market with Cordy Branches. They also broke something with weapon masteries. You can essentially get an infinite amount of mastery points. And if you did take the opportunity to farm Cordy Branches, you might actually want to save them for these accessories if you don't want a weapon. They can be very useful. But back to the actual drop rates. What happened here? Now, many of us thought this was a neat feature, that the last update all of a sudden made these giant mutant mushrooms have a 100% drop rate on Cordy Branches. This was spotted first in the data files, as the probability was increased to 100%. As a result, people have since Thursday been farming them, and the stock in the auction house has skyrocketed. However, the devs have since changed this. Now you no longer even get a single drop from these mutant mushrooms. There was a bug before where they completely removed the drops altogether, and then an update later they replaced them with like polished crystals at 100% drop rate, and then they apparently added in the Cordy Branches at a 100% drop rate, probably forgetting that it was 100%. But they have since hotfixed it, and players can no longer take advantage of it to, yes, obtain those Archboss weapon reagents. Kind of crazy how they screw things up so much, particularly with Cordy Branches. The first thing they let slip was the ability to infinitely craft these Cordy weapons with just one branch, and now they have them dropping at 100% drop rate. With the next update, they will probably fix it again and bring back the Cordy Branches. And if you do want to farm them legit, getting them via the event and getting them just by coming here at the right times can be worth it, until there's too many people. But essentially there are 4 locations. There's a pool over there, another one off in the horizon over there, one up here and over there. And at every hour, for about 15 minutes, there is a chance that this giant Cordy appears. When he does, these little mushrooms are going to spawn. You don't have to kill the standard normal mutant mushrooms, as they don't really drop anything. You need to wait for the giant mutant mushroom to spawn. That's the priority one to kill. These little mushrooms will disappear if you don't kill them in time, and that's going to be the same with the big one. So you need to have enough damage. You can save your skills for when he appears, and you will kill him and then potentially get the drop. I believe the standard drop rate is supposed to be like 2%, and if you're in a party, you all have that equal chance to drop it. So it's viable to go as a party, so I've heard. And that's pretty much it. Again, the best thing is to go on this tower. You can see all 4 of those locations and go there when the giant Cordy actually appears. When the water recedes, then he will appear and the mushrooms will spawn. During the event, which is here, the best way to prevent the worst, giant Cordy will also appear in each of those areas across the duration of the event. Now be aware, if you do get your hands on Cordy Branches, you can save them for the possibility that we'll be able to craft Archboss accessories. There's the coil of the Verdant Sovereign, which can be very good if you're going for a build with melee and ranged evasion. And then there's the girdle of the Trent Strength. This is a bit like the cloak, the frozen cloak from Delaznoa, and it gives the opposite effect of 113 skill damage resistance, which is actually pretty huge considering that directly reduces your incoming damage. The amount of damage reduction does diminish, however, by the more you have. However, it's directly linked to skill damage boost. So if your enemy has the same amount of skill damage boost as you have skill damage resistance, you'll take no extra damage from them. And then if you have more than them, it will follow like this table. 100 skill damage resist is a 9% less damage taken. 500 is 33% less damage taken. If you get to 1000, that's going to be 50% less damage taken. So it can be pretty huge to stack this, both for a PvE and a PvP scenario, because yes, PvE enemies, when they attack you, they're essentially attacking you with skills, and so this does apply. It has been tested. So again, saving those Cordy Branches to actually craft these items could be a viable strategy, but you have to be patient, and they still very well may not add this. It's very much like the snow flowers, and they also claim that you can craft the Cloak of the Frozen Expanse, and it's listed here in our crafter, but as of yet, still no info if they will actually be adding the ability to do so. This is on the global server, as you see everything here, but on the Korean server, they can already craft it, so it might just be a spillover bug. And again, with regards to the devs screwing up the drop rates with Cordy Branches, putting them at 100%, you can see how this guy managed to farm like over 27 in the past few days. No wonder there's been such an influx in the market lately. There is even bugs with your masteries where you can end up, when using the swap function, to have presets with essentially unlimited mastery points. This guy has over 205 extra mastery points spent on top of his standard levels. It's just quite broken here. I wouldn't say it's the most reliable thing because it's kind of costly to reproduce, needing to actually spend those mastery retraining scrolls. And then not all of these nodes will actually work. Some of it is just visual, but still kind of crazy. This game seriously needs some better quality assessment. Devs need to double check their work. They need to have somebody actually testing these things before updates are pushed out, because this is kind of nuts. It's getting ridiculous now. I thought it was bad coming from Neverwinter with all the bugs and exploits. But this game, in terms of economy breaking bugs, is on another level. It has been said we'll be getting a Tiko Talks this week, and that he will be addressing some things with regards to players exploiting and potentially sanctions. What they actually want to do about it, because I think this is one of the main things. The game devs just have not apparently done much to sanction players, and so everybody feels free to go ahead and exploit, and you even get rewarded by doing so. The players that don't exploit then feel left out because they have just missed a big opportunity. At least if the devs were actively banning and sanctioning people, they might be a little bit more afraid to do exploits maybe, and that as a result would cause players to be less inclined to exploit the game and take advantage of all their non-checked coding. Another solution, maybe add a public test server where updates are pushed out early and we can test things out, find bugs and exploits. But even then, I think a public test server might not be the best thing, because people will still find bugs and exploits and not really report them. Keep them for when the game goes to the global server and then abuse them. A lot of people, yes, we're just here to play a game, have fun, and it can be a lot of fun finding bugs and exploiting them. Even if the threat is there to get banned, it can be still part of the fun to do so. Ultimately, I just expect more from the devs in the first place. Double check your own work, make sure things when you change something that it's actually working the way you intend it to be. And if you're going to go and hotfix something, at least acknowledge it, that you messed up, and tell us what the story is. And then act upon it. Either sanction players or give compensation to other players who didn't exploit said bug. There is just so much unrest in the community as a result, particularly with scripting too. People are getting a lot more aware of it. They're noticing it an awful lot more, and it's just super unhealthy for any PvP content. But that's pretty much it for now. Again, Tiko Talks should be this week, most likely on Wednesday. Hopefully he has some interesting announcements to present us. But that's it for now. Thanks all for watching, and we'll see you guys around.